I guess a lot of people liked this idea. Huh.
Okay, so we're doing this.
Special thanks to our patrons on Patreon, ChronoCast9, Transformer Brett, and D Birch1. If you're at all curious on how to become a patron, look in the description below or go to patreon.com/Crimson Glow. We have benefits like early access to videos, custom icons, Patreon-only polls and content, and so much more. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and press that little bell icon in the corner there. Now it's time for our regular scheduled programming. Hey guys! If you haven't watched my video on roleplay storytelling, which is weird, why haven't you watched that already? I play tabletop RPGs. I talk about how it actually kind of helped me with my storytelling and how it might be able to help you. You might also notice that I skipped over alignments. The reason why is because the segment turned the video into 45 minutes long.
What's that, Alfred? How thick is it? Well, half as thick as my dick.
But you guys on Patreon and YouTube seem to really like this one, so here it is. Alignments in your writing. Okay, I'm gonna totally level with you on this. I had absolutely no idea what to do. I have never had to use them in my writing, so I decided, why don't I get some more help from my friend Veotrits, who helped me out with this issue.
You wanna do an alignment video?
Yeah, but alignments are just so basic. It's not like other aspects of game systems, like races or classes. They have a mechanical property to them. Something tangible you can use, but the closest to doing that with alignments is detect good or evil. And that's it.
Actually, some editions do have mechanics like that. 2nd and 3.5 edition had this in a form of alignment damage. You took a level of damage if you changed alignments or acted outside of your alignment.
Wait, we're playing 5th edition right now. What happened to 4th?
It's a dark place. We should never go there.
So you could theoretically use them in your story.
Oh yeah. Outside of that, they really don't have a gameplay function. They're for your players to know what type of person your characters are. Alignments are basically just organized by morality, good, neutral, and evil, and ethics, lawful, again neutral, and chaotic.
Yeah, lawful is for following the rules, neutral is either rebelling or following the rules, depends on the situation, and chaotic likes to just rebel and break the rules. Good is when you're seeking the betterment of others, neutral is either selfish or committing to the people that they know, and evil implies that you wish to seek harm on others. Seems pretty simple.
You would think so.
What do you mean?
Well, the basics of what you said is true. But it's more complex than just black, gray, and white. For example, lawful doesn't mean following the law.
But how is that? Wait, it's literally in the name!
Lawful actually means someone who follows a code, like a law, tradition, or maybe a personal code of ethics. Another way to look at it is order. Someone who follows their own point of views can rather be inflexible. There has to be an order of how things work in their own mind. Then chaos means that you feel the rules get in the way of what needs to be done or what you want to do.
But a lawful person may break the rules, right? It's not like it's meant to be written in stone.
Well, yes, actually, like how most people change, everyone gains different viewpoints and ideals. So that's correct. The only part that I think is the most solid is there's always a reason why they do so.
Okay, I think I get it. Chaos doesn't mean that you're lol so random humor or that you just want the world to play by your rules. You just don't want rules and tradition to block you out of being an individual. So like Robin Hood, right?
Very correct. People like to assume chaotic is more random than that.
I would consider...
But really, they follow a whim or a feeling, something like that. They don't randomly do stuff because the player wants to.
Kinda like Church from our Ebron campaign. Church is a chaotic good shifter bard who basically plays by the beat of her own tauntaun. She dismisses tradition as something restrictive and goes to whatever feels good to her and others around her. Others lighten up and shares great concern for others, making her more good than neutral. When against a wolf creature in the fog, instead of using sense of emotion to feel exactly what it feels, she assumes what it feels and wants to help it. Though she can't find herself ending its life even after finding out that it has no soul and therefore can't feel at all.
Yeah, or like Ludus from Lightbringers.
Oh yeah, I talked about him a little bit in my roleplay storytelling video. He's actually your character, so why don't you talk about him?
Sure, so, in a nutshell, as you know, he is an orphan like all the characters we have. Let's admit that that's actually pretty damn funny. Ludus was left at an abbey and was pretty happy actually. The only reason why he stole was to make sure the abbey had enough money to keep going. The abbey was small and was full of orphans, which made it hard to maintain.
So how does all that play into his alignment?
Well, you could think at this moment that he was almost lawful. He had a code, he never hurt anyone. He even would get food for the other kids because the abbey was so poor. The lawful aspect is the fact that he never deterred from what he did and avoided to be bad, in a sense.
Okay, but you wrote him up as chaotic good.
Yes, that is due to what happens later in his story. The abbey was on its last legs, and the abbess that Ludus views as a mother was talking to the priest. Basically, the abbey would no longer be maintained, and the orphans would be transferred to another location. Ludus panicked. This is when he targeted richer folk and got caught. The person struck a deal with him, the bag of gold, for something in return.
It was never stated what that was, right?
Correct. And being a kid, he was only thinking about the abbey and how to help them. When he agreed, he never expected the thing in return would be his right hand lopped off and the damage to his vocal cords. So he can't scream or easily tell anyone that happened. He was left bloodied in an alleyway with the gold bleeding out. And then he walked to the abbey.
You would expect some people would help a kid out when they look like they just got bloodied to a pulp and have now one limb off.
You would think so. But even in real life, if something bad happens, people tend to stick around and watch and not interact. Like assholes.
Ah, the bystander effect.
Again, correct. Firstly, you could think how awful it is because Ludus can't scream for help, and now he's just being watched by people that'll possibly just go, "Dude, I just saw the craziest thing." The alignment shift starts there. He gets back to the abbey and just collapses. The priest and the abbess panic, scoops him up, and heals him to the best of their ability. The abbess, of course, asks him about the gold and platinum he got. He writes down what all happened, gets scolded, but not too harshly given his condition. And not wanting to squander his help, she reluctantly starts counting the money.
Now for the fucked up part.
Yep, the lock lurker.
Bitch better have my money.
Fuck those things.
I see that you have true love for those things.
Fuck you and everything you stand for, you sadistic raccoon bottom.
Love you too, sis. Anyway, the coin springs to life. Again, it's a lock lurker. It kills the abbess right in front of Ludus, and there was a letter inside the bag for him, which read, "Steal from me, and I shall steal from you." In this case, it was the life of someone that Ludus viewed as a mother. Ludus broke his code right then and there, and anger took hold of him, and he was taking it out on anyone and everyone. The only reason that he stopped was because he stole from someone from a thieves' guild. Then he was taken to their boss and got adopted. Hijinks afterward. It was due to his adoptive father that he didn't become chaotic neutral or chaotic evil. So you could see how alignment can be flexible and change with some small tidbits. Ludus lost his code, sure, but he wised up and found that if he kept to one, in his line of work at least, it could kill him.
Damn! Boom! No punches held!
Of course.
But how would you be able to work this into a story outside of the game? That's what I'm really struggling with right now. Morality and ethics are really complicated in a good story, and could change in every direction. That's why we have things like fallen heroes and reformed villains. If we are to use this system, how would we use it in a story, if we could at all? What you just described to me is basically just a chart on how characters go through character development.
Well, you have to think more fluidly. Nothing stays the same forever, and people adapt more than they change. A core example, if you will, a reformed villain may have a hard time fitting back in due to notoriety. A good guy keeps to his morals, but it's not twisted with a sense of logic. I have a great example for that, actually.
Okay, like...
I'm going to reference another person's analysis and use a strangely complex character from a French kids show, Wakfu. Nox, who is a strange, interesting sort, he's draining life from the world so he could do something. In the eyes of the heroes, he's the bad guy because he's doing this. And they're right. No one gathers Nox's backstory. He's a tinker. An inventor who got trapped in his work due to an artifact. His family moved away and then died due to, well, the island they moved to sank into the depths.
Let's see here, so we got panic, depression. What else would you like?
Well, a drive, a mania. You could take a person and push a small bit of their personality to an extreme. And, well, interesting things can happen. He wants to fix things. And to fix his family. He wants to turn back time.
Je pourrais remonter le temps et réparer le mal que j'ai fait au mien jadis. Ne t'arrive-t-il pas d'avoir des regrets, dragon?
He becomes a persona called Nox. All the bad things is Nox's doing, excusing him from his own sins. Once time gets turned back, who's going to remember?
So basically, he won't have to face his sins because he hit the reset button. Okay, that's interesting. How does that play to his alignment?
Nox is viewed as chaotic evil, while his other self is lawful good. But he deluded himself in a huge way, that he became a monster in the eyes of the heroes. Better yet, the heroes never knew this. They only got kind of a hint, but not much really changed anything.
Okay, I'm getting it now. Based on the conversation we've had so far, alignments aren't really mechanical things that can help you with how the world works, but more like a tool to keep things consistent or shake things up from character to character. Similar to how Loading Crew has their D&D alignment videos to see how characters progress to one alignment to another. Even in a split personality scenario, you can see how these alignments will then conflict. Similar to the idea of color theory, how different colors might just get along or might not get along based on their intensity. With that being said, there are a great amount of tricks that you can use with alignments even in previous editions. One of these being Zuko's arc from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which kinda implements the 2nd to 3.5 editions of alignment changes. He literally goes through an alignment damage and then debuff of his powers twice, but for the most part, it's better to keep it as a kind of chart for how your characters progress through the story.
Basically, I just think of it as a core. And we could simply say that everything else around could make a person even just view you as a bad guy. I'm thinking about the Harley Quinn show involving Poison Ivy. Bad guy? Yes. Good person? Well, yeah.
Thanks for helping me out on this, I really appreciate it. It's been such a hard subject to get my head around, and maybe I can use this in my own writing.
Oh, not a problem. Wait. Are those cameras?
Oh yeah, I basically just put those there because I didn't think I would remember. I love you too, big bro.
That's it!
Thanks so much for watching this observation on alignments with Veotrits. He is a writer, editor, D&D enthusiast. I really did have a lot of trouble with this one, and I needed the extra help, and he was just the most helpful. With that being said, this has been your future evil overlord, Crimson Glow, and...
Crimson? I know you're in there.
It's all Mark's fault!
I can't just beat up the Ice King for nothing. That's against my alignment.